Nice to see all of you. Today we gathered here to see and listen presentation of our expert Wojtek Konieczny about key factors that influence mushroom yield. Let's check if Wojtek is here. Wojtek, are you here?
Yes, hello to everybody. I am here.
We hear you.
Probably you first introduce me and say something about our activities, and Wojtek, then I'll be over.
But we don't see you. Can you switch on your camera?
Yes, here is my camera.
Okay, while we are waiting when everyone join, let me say thank you to our partners, companies that support our activities. These are Atmo Control, Polish companies that supply equipment, DMP, Dutch companies that supply project, turnkey project for mushroom business, Ripstyle, supplier of coating from Netherlands, Sham Food, company that world leader in supplement production, and many companies in the world, mushroom farms, use their supplements. McDon Substrat, Irish companies that supply peat to mushroom farm. Grow Time, very famous and good supplier of lorries and trolleys for mushroom farms, and also they supply different equipment for mushroom farm. Mashcomp, Dutch supplier of equipment for mushroom farm, they have a full range of machines for mushroom farms and machines for compost yards. Christian's Group, very famous, well-known supplier of solutions for mushroom business, including compost yards and mushroom farms. Agro Projects, Polish company that also do full range of services for mushroom farms. They build mushroom complexes, they build compost yards. And Amicel, supplier of mycelium, one of the world's largest and best suppliers of mycelium, very well known. Thank you for companies, our partners. And today our plan will be like this. We will have presentation from Wojtek, which will take around 15-20 minutes. We call this presentation key factors that influence mushroom yield. And we do this webinar before our course in Poland that will start less than in 2 weeks. We start course about mushroom growing on a big farm in Eastern Poland, Remuza Farm. They have 48 rooms, and Wojtek support also their production. And we will have 3 days with Wojtek on this farm, studying all aspects of mushroom growing. We have quite small groups, so this is a chance for you to join and have more attention during this event. After Wojtek course, we will have harvesting course for 3 days with Lina Turowska on the same farm in Eastern Poland about harvesting, organization of harvesting process on a farm. And you will be able also to get a book, Lina's recently issued book about organization of mushroom harvesting. And then I hope many of you I will see during mushroom days in Netherlands. We will have stand there, and you can meet our experts and Wojtek also on our stand number 7.10 on mushroom days. It will be first time for us to have booth on mushroom days. We are proud of it, and I hope it will be successful event for all of you and for us also. So if you are interested in Wojtek course, please let us know and join us for those 3 days from 13 to 15 of April on the farm Fungitim, Remuza, in Eastern Poland. It will be very interested, filled with useful information days on this farm. So after Wojtek presentation during this webinar, after 15-20 minutes, you will have a chance to ask questions to Wojtek. Please keep your questions until Wojtek finishes with presentation, and then you can ask whatever question about mushroom growing, about your situation in general from Wojtek, and Wojtek will try to answer. Thank you very much. And Wojtek, please share your screen and you can start.
Okay. Some time to do some technical things. Let's try. Okay, so yeah, now you see my presentation, so we can slowly start. And today we prepared I prepared a presentation about those key factors that influence mushroom yield. What first things come to our mind when we are discussing the yields? Because the topic yields, I think it's the main or one of the main topic when we meet each other. At the end, we discuss how much you pick, how much kilograms you make out of square meter, out of the bag, or out of ton of compost. So at the end, I think the key factor, and usually we start with it, is compost. So the substrate on which we are growing. And some people say during those discussions that compost can even decide 80% of our success. But yeah, we will discuss this later. The other factors that come into our mind is, of course, casing soil, but the climate and the growing, the way of growing, how we do it. So these are all important things. Of course, if we grow the mushrooms later on, we need to pick them in a correct way. And I think this is also a very important factor that influence how much or how big the yield can be. This is maybe the part of Lina courses, but I think that growing and picking need to be combined together and go within the line to make it really successful. And at the end, to make all the things happen, I think the hygiene is another factor, because without the correct hygiene, we cannot use the whole potential of the compost. So let's start with the compost. What exactly do we need out of the compost to get the good yield? Here you can see the pictures, and what I believe is the most important is the good recovery of the compost, because whatever the compost is, sometimes we don't really have the influence what we get. There are, of course, companies who produce compost by themselves and they have the closed cycle, so they can adjust the compost properties to their way of growing. But in many cases, you buy your compost from outside, and always we need to take care of what we have and try to get the best out of it. And I think the key factor for me is to maintain the activity of the compost, create the good timing for it. And for this, we also need a good watering schedule. And this is something which is also very much discussed. But sometimes I believe that watering is overpriced, let's say. So there is too much discussion about watering. I mean, amount of water and the schedules. But I think watering always should come together with a recovery process. So this is the critical point. So that's why a lot of growers say that it is better to be a little bit too dry than too wet. Also because of this recovery. And all this in the beginning, this recovery, I think, create the possibility to make a good start for a case run, which influence the later stages. So if we start good in a good way and we help our compost to recover in a good way, I think we really make our chances bigger for get a good yield. So after the compost is recovered and we start the case run, we go to another factor which comes next. So the casing soil. And the question is if the casing soil is also the limiting factor. And for sure it is. But it can be limiting factor in many ways, because it can be limiting because of its properties. So if the casing soil doesn't have the right water capacity or doesn't have the right structure which is needed for good layer of casing soil and good climate, microclimate for our mushrooms, it can limit our possibilities to get the good yields. But in many cases, we can use very good, very heavy casing soil, because many people think that casing soils need to be very heavy and need to have big water capacity. But sometimes if we don't handle it in a correct way, even if we have very good casing soil, we cannot really use it by 100%. So sometimes it's better to go maybe for a lighter mix, but make it a very good even layer on top of our growing surface. And by this, we can really use the whole surface of the growing room and to maintain very good yields, even if the casing soil is not extremely good. So it's the way how we use it, because this is how do we handle it. Whatever is, like you can see on these pictures on the left, if the caking material is mixed correctly, so if the contact is correct with our compost, our good recovered compost, and of course the way how we handle it later, how high we go with the mycelium, how do we go with our growing schedule to get the right numbers of mushrooms and also to maximize our yields. So by this we go to growing, because as I said before, casing soil factors like structure, water capacity, but also disease-free and easy handling help us to maintain the good growing later. And what about growing? I believe in my many years of experience that stable climate makes good growing, and of course it can transfer later on to good yields. Because a lot of variations, a lot of changes within the climate, whatever it's a technical issue or our way of growing, if we make too dynamic changes, not in the correct timing, then we first of all, we can easily lose the activity. And I think also the growing should be done in that way that we maintain the activity of the compost, because it's the most natural way of helping mushrooms to grow later on. If we keep the activity under control, if we keep compost good recovered with good activity, it really helps to feed our mushrooms later. So this stable climate for me is crucial. And of course, all our farms differs very much. We have standards, we have Dutch standards, but still there is a different climate outside. Sometimes there are technical differences between farms in terms of equipment. So at the end, I believe that we need to create our own growing scheme, and this scheme need to be really worked out and then adapted all the time, which also helps to create those stable growing. And of course, it's important to make the best use of our equipment. Sometimes, if we know our limitations, it's also good to adapt for those limitations. So don't give too much compost inside the room if you don't have enough cooling capacity, or don't create too much problems when you don't have possibilities to control the moisture level or the CO2 level. So all these factors together helps us to take maximum out of our compost through the good way of growing. So since we discuss this further, the climate what we create is a general climate inside our room, but I believe that we have also the microclimate, and these are also very important factors, because by changing the whole climate inside the room, we influence the microclimate, which happens on the layer of the casing soil. And usually we try to achieve certain level, how high we want to go with our mycelium. And of course, the better the control of the climate inside the room, the more wider we can go. But still, we need to remember that any changes or dynamic changes inside our growing room influence on microclimate. And on this level, it's important to be stable and predictable, because as we see on these pictures on the right, the mycelium is a very gentle tissue. So we see that the pins which are starting to create are very small, and they are very sensitive to any changes. So this is also the crucial stage to maintain, as I said before, the activity, but also to gradually change the climate inside the room, so the microclimate will not change drastically and we can create problems later on. Especially if we go really wide, it's really very easy to dry out our surface and destroy this microclimate, which is needed for our mushrooms to grow in a good way. And after we grow those mushrooms, at the end we go to our flushes, so to the picking. And the picking is the factor for sure. As I remember many years ago in Poland, the factor was not that important because, yeah, maybe it was, but it was still easy to make good yields, even without spreading, because there were enough people to work. So even if we had overpinned heavy room, still the good yield was possible to carry on, because we can get in a lot of people inside the room and take all those mushrooms. But recently, the good yield is only possible with selective picking. So to grow mushrooms in a good spreading and in many generations. So everyday pickers can grow their main mushrooms. In the first 2 days, we can thin out right ones, so the small mushrooms, which are not helping us to grow the main mushrooms. And all the time we try to keep the spreading. Since the spreading is done by the grower, when we put over our growing room to the picking team, we need to make sure that the picking team will keep this spreading throughout the picking period. If they do this in a correct way, I think this is another good factor for achieving good yields. As I said before, it's more about leaner courses to organize picking in the correct way. But we need to deliver correct room to make easier work for our picking department. And to make all those things happen, what I already discussed in recent minutes, at the end, I believe there need to be clean on the farm. So the hygiene regime need to be really high to make our growing possible. The best in 3 flushes, of course. In intensive growing, sometimes these are only 2 flushes, but still without hygiene, we can easily lose quality, lose yield in terms of diseases, of spots, of blotches, or whatever can happen to our mushrooms. So if we want to maximize our yields, we need to keep our farm clean, so maintain the hygiene. But also, I think maintenance of the farm is also important, so that everything is really working, whatever it's a fan or it's a picking lorry, or the doors or other things keeps our farm closed, so it's easier to keep it clean. And in general, for the whole, as a summary of this short presentation, I think it's good to keep on learning. So meet other growers, go to the courses, go to the events, exchange the knowledge, because I think that's what is the main interesting part of our mushroom business, is that we really can exchange our experiences between each other. So hopefully we can meet each other, whatever on mushroom days or on my course. So you are invited, and thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Wojtek, for this overview. And starting discussion, I want to ask you about 2 factors. The first one is incubation time. We recently had course in India, and because they use their own spawn, they can afford to put at least 2 times more spawn. Rate of spawning is 2 times higher, and they have sometimes compost looks fully incubated, so it's completely covered with mycelium and quite white after 11 days. And this this tell to them that they can put casing on top of compost and start growing. But our suggestion was to increase time of incubation. What is your opinion about incubation time? How important is it, and how long it should be?
I think that 11-12 days sounds very short to me, even with high dosage of mycelium. It can happen that after those days there will be still a lot of activity inside the compost, especially that usually before casing we stretch the surface again, so we create we force mycelium to recover again, and I think this recovery also creates extra activity. So if those growers see that after those 11-12 days they have kind of overactivity after the casing soil, I would recommend to make the incubation time longer to get the calmer compost later on. So 14, 15, 16 days for sure will help to have better true grow, because what we often see after those days those 11 days is the mycelium on top of the straw. But we need to remember that mycelium need to digest the straw inside. The more it goes inside, I think the most food is available later on. And we also avoid by later, longer incubation, overactivity just after the casing soil. But in the past, I remember times when Poland was also producing a lot of mushrooms on phase 2, that some growers used this activity after 12 days to give the casing. For example, during winter time, they went for earlier casing soil to use this activity to heat up also the room to save on cost, let's say. But in terms of mycelium quality, it's always better to have longer incubation time.
And now in Poland, of course, everywhere in Poland you use phase 3 compost. And do growers care about how long it was incubated on a compost yard on a phase 3, if it's 14 or 15 days, or even if it's 18 days? Does it influence their yields?
Yes, it influences the yields. Interesting fact is that there are still farms in Poland that produce on phase 2. Not many of them, but still. But of course, most of them are producing on phase 3. Yeah, incubation time is a topic. Of course, it's not that now hot topic like it was before, because the production capacity within the compost yard is big. In fact, on the market, you don't see compost shorter incubated than 15, 16 days. And for many, this 16 days, it's a minimum time of incubation. People prefer 17, 18 days. It happens sometimes that we see compost 20, 21 days, but for some, it gave extra yields. But I believe that 17, 18 days compost, which is maintained well during recovery time and case run, can give the same yields. We just need to take the close attention how we treat it. But those 16, 17 days usually can be enough for good yields. Of course, the question is how much compost is inside the tunnel, what was the dosage of the spawn. So there are many more factors that influence that. But in general, 16, 17 days, it's enough.
Yeah, definitely. And the second question for me is how important is casing layer, thickness of casing layer? What margins are, what range is good? What will happen if there is not enough casing soil, or opposite, too much casing soil?
Yeah, this is the discussion which very often ends with the phrase, better is the enemy of good. Because I believe that we cannot go for too much casing soil, which very often was the case, because some growers thought that maybe if we give 6.5 centimeters or even 7 centimeters, we will gain bigger water capacity and bigger water buffer for growing in later flushes. But what I saw very often, those 6-7 centimeters was way too much for the mycelium to create a good contact from the bottom to the top layer. So the growth through the casing soil was very uneven. And at the end, even if we had the water capacity there, the quality of the mycelium was poor. So we cannot use it in a good way. So at the end, I prefer a little bit less casing soil. And this can vary from 4 to 5.5 centimeters, depends on the structure and the way how we grow. Because there are farms who can maintain watering, for example, on mushrooms and create a good climate for drying out the mushroom. So they can go for this 4.5 centimeters because they can constantly make this buffer full of water by watering. If you cannot afford watering because of whatever diseases or your quality requirement, you need better shelf life for your mushrooms, and then you avoid watering on mushrooms, then preferable is those 5.5 centimeters on the bed. But I think the main thing is whatever the layer is how good quality of the mycelium is inside our casing soil.
Yeah, thank you. And what yield now considered as good in Poland?
Yeah, this can also vary from many farms, but in general, if we discuss with most of the growers, they expect to have 35 kilograms in 3 flushes with good quality mushrooms. So usually they also expect to have at least 30 kilograms or more than 30 kilograms in 2 flashes.
With 85 kilograms of compost, 85.
Usually, yes, depends on the yes, but this also has changed because in the past the tendency was to load less compost, but compost also changed. So usually those 82, 85 kilograms is needed to get this yields.
Okay, thank you. For those who joined, I want to remind that in less than 2 weeks, we will have courses with Wojtek on a farm, team Remuza in Eastern Poland for 3 days. You will be able to learn all growing process directly on the farm with Wojtek as a trainer. If you are interested, please write to us and join this course. And also you can have Wojtek private consultations if you need to contact us, and we will organize it. Now, please, if someone has questions, please switch on your microphone, or you can write to.
Hi, Wojtek.
Hi. Hello.
I'm Axel. If compost activity drops after first flush, how to reactivate it, or is it okay to raise the air temperature higher than the compost to reactivate it?
I think yes. Sometimes we did like this because such compost, if it drops activity, it needs a boost. And I think going over the compost temperature with the air temperature can help us to put enough energy to, let's say, reactivate the compost. Of course, we need to make sure that we also deliver enough fresh air because we need to remember that all those composting processes, they are still going on inside the compost, and for such things we need oxygen. So we need to make sure that the room also has enough oxygen, and together with really heating up, we can gain some extra activity inside the compost and to help make it better.
Wojtek, but adding to this question, Irfan's question, as I understand, it depends also what we see on the shelf. If we already see second flash coming, and we can, it can be dangerous to increase air higher than compost temperature.
I thought that we are talking after second flush and we are waiting for third flush. Okay. Yeah, so of course, if we see the mushrooms and the activity is really low, then heating up works only to a certain stage. Even during my last visits, we make a trial to keep the temperature of the air during the second flush on 18.5 and 19 degrees in the room. And we didn't see much difference, but with 18.5, the difference between compost and the air was bigger. So at the end, the mushroom grew in better quality than in the 90. So of course it depends at what stage. Good point, Maxim. But in general, sometimes we can boost the activity inside the compost, but heating up. But of course, it depends when. If we are talking about loss of activity after the second flush and we want to gain it to get the third, then we can go over the compost temperature. But during picking, rather not. We rather play with the climate to make mushroom growing. If the activity is lower, we can play whatever with moisture level of CO2, try to pull those mushrooms to grow if the activity is low.
Thank you. Irfan, have you got answer to your question?
Yeah, I got. Actually, after the first flush, sometime I face this problem. After cleaning off first flush before watering, my compost activity is low. So that's why I was asking this question.
Okay. So I think if we are preparing for the third flush, we can do like this. If the mushrooms are there, rather not, because then we will lose the quality of the mushrooms.
Okay.
Thank you, Irfan. Juan Antonio, you have a question?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Thanks, Maxim. Thanks for the UMDIS team for all this value information you bring us. And well, right now I'm following some online courses with you, Maxim, and I have already finished the compost stage. I think in my process it's very good right now. It has improved a lot, and right now I'm following the process in my growing rooms. And I have two questions. The first one, is it true that if you get a better compost, but you have a mid process in the growing rooms, it can give you lower results than having a low compost with a low process in growing rooms?
I'm not sure we got your question.
Yeah, it depends what is the difference between the good and the bad compost. But I believe that for sure good growing can stabilize the yields. So even if we get a little bit lower quality compost, by good growing methods, we can improve the way how it will behave on our farm and then still get enough good yield. Maybe not the best, but still enough good yield. And in opposite, if we get very good compost, and for example, sometimes it means that the compost also have quite good activity. And if we cannot handle it in the correct way or make a good watering out of it, later on we can really don't use the full potential of this compost. So it's always the game is always to find a balance between what we want to put inside our room and what are our possibilities, technical possibilities to get best out of it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And the second question is, right now I'm learning how to have a good process in the growing rooms, but my experts were using plastic bags to totally cover my growing beds. And there was this gray moho, I think it's Dactylium cobweb, that was rising a lot. I want to know if this process of totally covering my beds with plastic bags is okay. The information they gave me was they use this to retain moisture in the bed, but I have told them that I prefer to put some water in the rooms and leave these plastic bags off the beds.
Yeah, I met this practice in the past that it was recommended to put some plastic on top, but in fact it was carrying out the poor compost quality. So trying to grow the mycelium, even it was not really good recovered on the compost. So I also believe that if we work on recirculation and we have enough moisture level inside the room by keeping the floor wet or even by keeping the standing water inside the room, the moisture level and the climate inside the room should be enough for the mycelium to grow through the casing and on top without the plastic. What currently I see, sometimes the plastic is only used on top shelf just to have better quality mushrooms there, but not because to maintain the moisture, but to make the room really white on top, but only on the top bed. So usually in normal circumstances, it should be not needed to give the plastic, especially if this create hygiene problems, because the plastic itself very easily attracts by electrostatic spores. So it's very easy to bring in the diseases. So if you cannot make it in a good hygienic way, it's better to avoid such solutions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mohahi,
Yes,
do you have
how
question?
are you?
Hello.
Yes. First, before my questions, I want to providing a lot of thanks to Mr. Wojtek, because I attending his course last year in Poland, and he changed my mind
Hello.
completely in growing. And also he gave me a personal consultation, which make dramatic change in our farm. We go online to our system, and he analyze the system and show me what is the bad part in it, and he modify it, show me how to modify. So I want from top of my heart to thank him and thank Mr. Maxim also for this course. Second, for
Thank
my
you.
questions,
Thank
I
you.
want to ask, thank you, to ask about if we are using supplement in phase 3. Usually, after just 1 day, 2 days, we start to give huge amount of water, which it will reach to 22 liters. So is this water the supplement, especially if it is soybean, when it is absorbing that much of moisture, or causing some harmful of it, or it is normally for it?
I think it's quite normal that the water is absorbed, but if we keep the balance between the activity and the amount of water which is given, and we make sure that in the meantime the mycelium is recovering And we also make sure that the water is really built inside the compost. We don't have too much free water. Then I am not afraid of this process. The only thing what is important when you are giving supplement by your own is to make the correct mix. So to avoid bunches of supplement together in one spot that they will easily be overwatered and then create some hotspots. So if the mixing is correct, the whole process should be okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. A lot of success, Mohammed.
Thank you. Okay.
Hope to see you again soon on some courses and maybe on the Dutch Mushroom Days if you will.
Inshallah.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone else has questions? Nicodem, please.
Oh, Sandy.
Nicodem.
Yes, now
we hear you.
Can you hear? I'm from UK. I missed half of the conversation. So I'm actually calling and
the connection is poor, so maybe you can write down the question.
Sandy, we are sorry, we don't hear you. Maybe you can find the sound.
Because in UK, already. Okay, so
the connection is poor, Sandy. So maybe
Sandy,
you can send.
Hear you.
Send
sorry, please ask in the chat.
Can you hear me now?
By text.
Nicodem, can you ask your question? Nicodem, switch on microphone, please. Yeah, now we hear you. Nicodem?
Nie działa mikrofon. The microphone is not working, probably.
Yeah. Does someone else has questions? Please, Ahmad.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
And thank you for this webinar. I have one question.
Okay.
I have in first flash a lot of a cluster. What's the reason for this?
Yeah, there are a few reasons for clusters. First of all, if we grow too deep, so the mycelium stays underneath the surface, it can create a microclimate which prefers to create that mycelium prefers to create clusters, and then when they grow from underneath, they grow in groups. It can also happen that in some spots the casing soil is too dense, and it's really hard for the mycelium to grow on top. And if the mycelium is concentrated only on the between the lumps, then again we create the microclimate which can create those clusters. Another thing that can happen is, for example, if you water too long and the mycelium stays already under the surface and there is still watering going on inside the room, especially if the water dosage is still high, we can create those clusters by watering on the mycelium. Another factor can be mycelium itself. So the mycelium has a tendency to create the cluster. So it's not easy to judge whatever it is, but these are the most common things that I met when I see the clusters.
Thank you, Wojtek. Okay, Nicodem, have you managed to switch on your microphone?
I don't see Nicodem right now, but
yeah, I see, but
yeah, still not working.
Does someone else has questions?
I think George can talk right now. Hello, George.
Hello, good afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon.
First of all, thank you for this webinar. I'm from Lebanon. I'm new in mushroom farming. I have a small farm and I'm working. I have made like 3 cultivation till now, and I'm working independently. I'm working in range of 2 tons of compost. in the room. That is the full capacity. I got some experience, but I have some questions also. I don't know if you can help me with it. My first question is, what should be the thickness of the compost layer? I'm buying compost from Holland.
Yeah, I know how it works. I visited Lebanon 2 times also, visited mushroom farms there. Yes, usually you don't talk about the layer itself. We talk about the kilograms per square meter. And for that compost, this frozen one, which is traveling all around the world, the preferable filling weight is 85 to 90 kilograms per square meter. So usually the blocks are 20 kilograms heavy, so you need 4.5 blocks per square meter to achieve those kilograms per square meter.
Okay, and I have some questions. It's about the watering for flush 2 and flush 3. How many liters per square meters should be?
Yeah, it really depends how you, first of all, how you prepare those blocks. If you make them loose enough, or they're open enough to bring in the water, because usually when they are after the travel and also during those travels, they also grow together. So the blocks are very compacted and grow together. So if you make sure that you lose them correctly, especially on top of the block, then we can think of starting watering. Usually those Dutch compost doesn't create big activity, so I don't believe that it needs 30 liters of water. But the range of water what you can give can be from 10-12 liters to 25 liters. Very much depends on the activity, how high you will go with the compost temperature, and also how much casing soil you will put on. So make sure that all those factors will help you to give enough water, but also not too much.
Actually, I'm removing the compost from the bags. I'm losing it completely.
So you go for bulk loading, yeah?
Yeah, and I'm spreading it about 20 centimeters thickness layers on the shell. And I'm covering it with the soil at about 4 to 5 centimeters thickness.
So it sounds as a quite regular growing. But still, I think within this, of course, if the compost is in bulk, then the watering is easier, and also usually we can afford to give more water. But then we need to really take care of the activity. If the activity is there, if the compost is really working, and we see that this watering is absorbed but also disappearing, and instead of this we see the mycelium is recovering, we can we are sure that we gave enough water, but also not too much. But it can vary from 18 to 30 liters. So the difference is big, and it's really depending on what you see on the bed and how the compost is reacting.
We are talking about the second and third flush, right?
No. We are talking. You mean after the first and after the second? So it depends also how big was the first flush. But usually we are talking about 8 to 12 liters after the first flush, and 4 to 6 liters after the second flush.
Okay.
Sorry, I started
before. I have a question. It depends on the, how to say, the mushroom itself, the fruits. After the first flush, always I have about 220 to 250 per kilograms. This is only first flush. Per ton, sorry.
Yeah. So this is quite heavy flush, but I suppose.
Yeah, according to what I have read and to what I read in the books and what my consultants are telling me, it's more than what they are saying. And usually the second flush and the third flush comes weak with fruits, and there's not much.
Yeah, what can happen with the heavy flush is that partly you lose the properties of the casing soil, because heavy flush means that you took out a lot of water out of the compost, but also out of the casing soil. And if the casing soil will be very dry after first flush, even if we water it, part of its possibilities is gone because of this drying out. So that's why this can be the case why the second and third flush are weaker.
Yeah, we can organize some private meeting, George. We are running out of time. By the way, it's because of this heavy first flash. It also depends what quality you get. If you let mushrooms to grow all together and harvested a lot of mushrooms in the last day, as I understand, yet you can damage second flash by bad harvesting of first flash. Okay, so let me, in the end of our meeting, invite you again to Wojtek course in 2 weeks in Poland. We will have 3 days on a big mushroom farm, and you will be able to ask all questions you have, especially considering that we have a small group.
And we can see and touch the growing.
Yeah.
So that's the crucial, I think.
So you all invited. Visit our stand on Mushroom Days, also in Netherlands, 22nd, 24th of April, and keep in touch. We will have in a few days a webinar with Lina Turowska about mushroom harvesting. I invite all of you. If you didn't register yet, please do. Thank you very much, Wojtek, and see you soon.
Thank you.